Hey guys, it's Chris. From the creepiest of bugs to arachnids and things you wouldn't expect, join me as I reveal 9 creepy animals that can enter your body. Number 9. Candiru. The fish known as the Candiru has a rather interesting legend associated with it. Mainly, there's a case of a man having to have surgery because he got one of these fish inside of him. How did that happen? The story goes that the Candiru was so small that when a man went to urinate in the Amazon River, it went up his urethra and basically became a parasite inside of him. So is that possible? Yes. There are cases of Candiru being 7 to 16 inches in length. However, much more are documented as being much smaller, and possibly being small enough to insert itself into a human. And the case of this surgery is documented and it's real, but that doesn't mean it was fully accurate in terms of how the Candiru got into his body. However, it should be noted that the Candiru is indeed a parasitic creature, as it uses its spines to attach itself to fish via their gills and drink their blood. Furthermore, while the story may have a grandiose deal about how it entered the male's body, the Candiru is able to enter your body in other ways as long as it gets to feast on blood. Number 8. Cockroach. This is the tale of Hendrik Helmer, who lived in Australia in 2014 and had a severe ear problem. His ear was hurting, but not in the way that it would usually hurt if he had a headache or a clogged ear from earwax. He described the pain as stabbing and didn't know what could possibly cause it. After a while, he figured that it must have been an external source, like a bug or later on a spider. At first, Helmer decided to just ignore it, thinking that the spider would simply come out of his ear on its own, but it did not. So he tried to drown the creature, but it still didn't come out. Then he put a vacuum to his ear to try and suck it out, but that failed to work too. In fact, Helmer felt that this just made the creature in him go deeper inside of his ear, thus increasing his pain. Not sure of what else to do, he went to the doctor, and the doctor confirmed that there was indeed something in his ear, but they couldn't tell what it was. So they used olive oil to try and get it out. Olive oil will usually send insects running, but in this case, it drowned the creature. When the doctor pulled it out, they were surprised to see a 0.79-inch cockroach residing in his ear canal. And the weird part of this is that cockroaches in an ear, that's not as uncommon as you might think. In fact, in 1985, a man came into the ER with multiple cockroaches in his ear. It's actually not an uncommon phenomenon to have a cockroach in the ear, says entomologist Kobe Schall of North Carolina State University. The nose is more unusual. But why are they so determined to get into our bodies? The answer is that roaches aren't picky about what they eat. They just want to eat, and that includes eating earwax and things from other places. And now for number 7, but first, be sure to subscribe to World List and be prepared, because these next stories, they're a little rough, just giving you fair warning. Number 7, Botfly Larva. In Peru, a young boy was in pain because of a swelling near his eye, and he had no idea how it had occurred. After it continued to grow and cause him pain, he went to his doctor to figure out what was wrong. They eventually determined that the larva of a botfly had been put into the boy's skin, and it was growing within him. While this may seem like a horrifying one-off story, this is actually typical of the creature known as the human botfly, mainly because they are indeed inserted into the human body via mosquitoes. They'll put the larvae in as they bite humans, and the flies will grow within us as the heat and skin of a person insulates the bug. The boy was able to get rid of the larva via doctors who used basil leaves to lure the larva out of him before pulling it out with tweezers. But no doubt this is an experience he would most certainly love to forget. Number 6, tapeworms. Tapeworms as a species are ones that you might consider dark or evil in certain capacities, as they're parasites that will do things to your body that could indeed end up with you being dead. These creatures will find a way into your body and they'll just wait for you to eat. And instead of you getting the food and nourishment you need, it'll go straight to the worms at times. Just as bad, though, is that they'll grow inside of you, and they're almost impossible to detect on your own because they don't technically hurt you. They'll just make it so you're never full, and that's bad, because your body will suffer when you don't get the food you need. Plus, the more they eat, the more they grow, and the more they harm you. They are true parasites, and they can hurt you in a variety of ways depending on where they are in your body. There have even been cases, like ones in China, where they can infect your brain and cause you to have various kinds of mental issues like seizures and massive headaches. Thankfully, it's only through very bad eating habits, like eating uncooked meat, and certain other rare circumstances that you can get a tapeworm, which is all the more reason to take care of your body so you don't risk getting one. Because if you do, this creature won't just live in your body, it'll thrive. Number 5. Loa loa. Worms as a whole aren't things you want to find in your body for various reasons. But in the case of the Loa loa, this is a species of eye worm that can be most harmful to humans because they're in fact parasites. What's more, they enter the human body via a way that would seem harmless at first: flies. In short, a fly will go to a human or mammal and bite them like it would do to many other things. But if this happens to be an infected fly, the Loa loa will move from them to the victim and start living in their bodies, including sometimes ending up around their eyes. The worms travel along the tissue, moving through the body until it stops and causes swelling and irritation in that spot. If you're unlucky enough to have a Loa loa reach your eye regions, then you'll find yourself in a tricky spot because you'll be feeling it in your eye in certain instances and not be sure what to do. In fact, you might even be able to see the worm swimming around in your eye. Thankfully, if you do realize you've been infected, you can go to the doctor and have it killed via antibiotics, or have it removed via simple surgery. Number 4. Ticks. Ticks are technically arachnids, as they have 8 legs. But unlike spiders, if a tick gets into your body, they're gonna remain on you and even in you until you find them and get rid of them. It's in their nature to suck the blood of a host, and they'll do that until they can't do it anymore. This is bad for numerous reasons, but the main one is that ticks are one of many creatures that can carry and transfer diseases through contact with humans and animals. One of the biggest ones they can give humans is Lyme disease, which can be fatal, and there are others that they can carry as well that are just as harmful. You might be thinking, but wouldn't I feel a creature biting me constantly? And usually you would, but ticks have a chemical that actually numbs the part of the body they're biting. That way you can't feel it at all. This is why ticks are one of the most dangerous creatures alive. You won't know they're there until it's possibly too late, and that's why many areas that have ticks are sure to have signs up to warn you of what might just be coming for you. So it might be a good idea to practice looking at your body in a mirror after you come home from an area that you know has ticks in them, just to make sure you didn't pick something up. Number 3. Maggots. Maggots are creatures that many people can't stand to look at, and what they do inside certain dead animals. It's not uncommon for a maggot to somehow enter a human body via certain practices and luck. But in one case, a man found a whole bunch of them in his ear. The man in question went to Dr. Vikram Yadav for what he called a buzzing in his ears. When the doctor went to look at said ears, he was shocked to find maggots in them. And it was a true horde of them, which forced the doctor to move fast to get them out. He used certain techniques to suffocate the maggots and then pulled them out. Then he put in various chemicals and anti-parasite agents to ensure that any eggs that remained in the man wouldn't be able to grow. So how did the eggs get there? Believe it or not, flies are known to sometimes lay their eggs inside of people. Maggots in the ear are not uncommon in poor, elderly, or infirmed people. And the situation is common enough to even have its own medical term: Aural Myiasis. Number 2. Spider. In Sydney, Australia, a man had to have a spider surgically removed from his stomach via his navel. Apparently, while Dylan Maxwell was on vacation in Bali, a spider had not only found Maxwell, but noticed a small scar from a previous surgery and decided to literally go through the scar into his stomach and then work its way up his body. It was so active that it not only got into his stomach, but right up to his chest and left a trail that showed the path it took. Eventually, he went to see a doctor and got the diagnosis. Well, after running some tests and putting things inside my stomach, they finally found out it was a tropical spider that's been living inside of me for the last 3 days. Maxwell posted on his Facebook page, where he goes by the name of Dylan Thomas. The doctors were indeed able to get the spider out, even put it in a jar so Maxwell could see it and they could study it. This no doubt was a surreal experience, and one that will send a shiver down the spines of many, because if a spider could do that, well, so could other creatures. Number 1. T-Rex leeches. No, this is not a dinosaur in leech form. Rather, it's a unique case of leeches that are so driven to get into the body that they don't care about how they get in. Meaning that they'll come in through your nose, your ears, or even, if they can, your rectum. This tyrant rex of a leech wasn't known about upon being found, thus changing up the known ranks of leeches as a whole. The leech was first recognized from a specimen plucked from the nose of a girl in Peru's central Chanchamayo province in 2007. A local doctor sent the specimen to Sadal and colleagues, who were unable to place the toothy predator into established leech families. Eventually, they were able to realize that this was in fact a species of leech that was scattered all over the world and fascinated with the mucous membrane of the human body, thus why it wants to enter your body and feast off of it. Thanks for watching. What did you think of these creatures that can get inside of you? Are you freaked out? I'm a little freaked out. Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe to World List, and I'll see you next time on the channel.